Alright, hey, what is up guys, Raven here and let's talk video games. So today's video is going to be a bit different because as you've noticed a week ago I've posted on my blog the recap, right, my gaming recap of 2025, and I was sitting here yesterday and I was thinking that I didn't write enough explanation to some of the games, and on the other hand I just wanted to talk with you guys because I am really interested what were your games last year in 2025 and what are you planning to play in this year, especially that you have all my gameplay on RavenReset plays on Twitch, on YouTube. It appears in episodes, right? So like for example, right now you're probably gonna see The Witcher 2, which I finished like a month ago or something, right? It's like one episode per day. So let's just jump right into it. I honestly thought, right, when I was doing that list on my blog of the 2025, that I did play more for whatever, excuse me, for whatever reason. But on the other hand, I remember there was a period where I was not playing video games at all. So yeah, I've kicked off January quite nicely because it was Blasphemous, and this is something that I know, right, that I just, again, quick descriptions, what were my thoughts, but here I can go in depth. So, Blasphemous was a game that I've purchased more than a year ago, right? A year before I've started playing it, let's put it like that. So, in 2024, I wanted to say. And I was like, yeah, one day, Metroidvania, maybe not for me, right? And again, I've purchased because it was on a really nice sale. But as you've known from my last video, that there was a time in January where I was like, I'm craving a really good Souls-like. I want that, and that was a break. I want to say after going through the Yakuza games, where I was like, you know what, I want to beat them all. I finished, I think at that time, because it might get loopy, right? But I thought at that time I finished 6, 7, 0, Kiwami 1, I want to say, but I'm not sure. Gaiden, Ishin, absolutely, right? The Judgment games, and I think 8. I think 8, yes, because I was in a different flat. So yes, 8, and I was like, alright, the Majima one is coming out, but it's not gonna get a physical release on Xbox. Oh, there's a commercial with the music. Yeah, there we go. Right, it's not gonna get the physical release on Xbox in Europe. It's gonna cost a lot, and well, now by the way, quick spoiler: it will be in March, I believe, on RavenReset Plays, because I'm playing it right now because it was finally on sale for like 15 bucks. So I'm quite happy. So yeah, Blasphemous, and honestly, as much as I was against Metroidvanias, because I'm not a huge fan of them, especially after Symphony of the Night, even though it was a brilliant game and I have really good memories of that, I do still remember the fatigue. So I was like, yeah, let's not do that. And then I had like nothing to play, so I was like, right, I'm craving this, let's go. And I was hooked. I was hooked. I was playing like a crazy person. I wanted more and more and more and more and more and more. I've beaten every single boss. I've done almost everything. I don't think I went for platinum because there are like really weird things, but my god, how good it was. And I remember a month later, I just purchased the second one, which I think is later on the list because, again, it's been a while since I wrote it. Right, so that was in January, and I think coming in January with Blasphemous was really insane. And then, well, let's go for it. That was February, and kind of you can see where the February went. So, Yakuza Remastered, number 3 and number 4. So, those are dates where I finished those games, to be more precise. So, I finished Blasphemous, I believe it was a third week of January, and I've went straight to the Remastered. So, I've started playing it in January, but I finished it in February. like February 2nd or 3rd, because like this got me hooked. I know it was said that it's a Blockuza, right? That this is a Yakuza that everyone just don't want to go through because of the graphics, the gameplay. But I loved it. And this is like a controversial opinion, but to me, it's like one of the top 4 Yakuza games, right? With yeah, you know what? I have a controversial opinion on that, but to me, number one, and I think it's gonna be forever, is going to be 7. And let me explain why before you're gonna kill me, right? Um, that was the very first one I finished because and this is something that's quite funny, and I don't think I've ever told that story, that in the past where I Dead Souls came out, it's like what 15 years ago or something. I was recommended Dead Souls as my very first Yakuza game. I hated it, and I was like, I will never play these games ever again. Then a friend of mine was like, hey, I have on my account the digital version of Yakuza 6. Do you want to play it? I was like, yeah, I'll try it. Why not? I'll download. And I've checked. I was like, sucks, not for me. And then I went to 7 because a friend of mine was like, yes, you have to. Like, please, I will give you money if you finish. And I was like, all right, that's a good incentive. And I fell in love. And since then, that created the obsession, right? But you must admit, Lost Judgment is a nice second, third on my list, right? Then we went to Yakuza 4, and I enjoyed that, but I felt that, as I've written here, right, that it wasn't great. And I think this is a great wording, because putting 4 characters, it felt uneven. It felt that, especially after 3, where there was so much focus on Okinawa, right? Here we had this step back, and I don't know, I even though I liked a lot of perspectives, I couldn't fell in love with every single character, because I wanted to spend a lot of time with them, but especially the 4th character, the baseball guy, I was like, no, I don't feel it. Maybe there wasn't 5. Maybe I'm just missing now the games. But I was like, no, too many characters and protagonists. Then Sniper Elite Resistance, just because I love Sniper Elite games, I do enjoy them. That was during I think 2 days. It came out and I just played like a crazy person. And then Dev Store, really nice, love the game. And a great one, absolutely right. So yeah, Yakuza. Then March, Lords of the Fallen. I would say this, because Lords of the Fallen, when they first came out, right? Lords of the Fallen. Because I don't want to. I forget when they actually came out. Because I think they came out 2024, right? No, 2023. That was the release, right? So why does Lords of the Fallen is over here? And I think this is an important message. So I went, when the game first came out, I started playing it, and I went up to this guy on the horse, and I got my ass handed to me. I hated controls. I honestly, at that point, I really disliked the game, and a lot of my friends who played Souls-like games hated it as well. But again, I never went with their opinions that much. I was like, yeah, I'm not enjoying. I didn't have fun. But after going from Yakuza 3, 4, and those 2 games, I was like, you know what? I've heard, and that was I think where they had this new patch 1.6. I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Maybe they've fixed certain things, and they did, and they actually did. And I said to my friend, David, or oh crap, I forgot his nickname. Alright, so David. Let's go with his real name. And I told him yeah, this is we should play it together. And I played with a couple of other people as well, and loved it. Loved the co-op aspect. Some bosses were not that great. I think ending was shit. I honestly think the ending, or the last boss was the worst boss ever. Not because of the difficulty, but because how bad it was, right? Because you're not fighting him, you're fighting his minions, which was absolutely bad. But I have fun. I had fun, and I can't wait for Lords of Fallen 2. Honestly, I had fun, and I hate to say that. Then Yakuza 5 Remastered. That, oh boy. So considered to be the worst one, and do I think it's the worst one? It's the most boring. Let's put it like that, because I did had fun. I did enjoy a lot of things. I did enjoy Saejima stuff. But I hated the things in the forest, right, when you have to hunt. Not my vibe. But overall, I remember had a lot of fun playing the game because it's still Yakuza, right? And at that moment in time, besides of course the Majima game, the pirate one, that was my very last one to finish all of the Yakuza games. So that was a landmark for me. That was a moment of what to do now, right? Because I finished, and I didn't want to even finish. I was like, I want to keep this stuff going. But yeah, that was the moment, and I loved it. Then I still remember Persona 3 Reload. Why, by the way, two really long games over here, right? Why Persona 3 is over here? Because I finished half of the game, or like a bit more than a half of the game last year, right? So 2024, but there was still like a couple of things to be done to just finish it, right? So I think I finished on floor 150, so there's like still 100 floors for me to go. So I just went through those floors and I grinded them. I disliked Persona 3, and why? Right? Because I talk here about archaic systems and repetitive design. I hate the fact that you just have this one location you go through. Not school, because school part was great, and that's why there's a 5 out of 10, right? School part was amazing. I loved it. The social links, right? The tarot cards, that aspect was great. Creating new personas was quite cool. Once I had, you know, the knowledge how to do it, and I've wrapped my head around this whole system, which took a while. And because the game is huge and there's a lot of info dumping, especially if you never played Persona, but just going up the stairs, everything felt the same. I know, especially when you have those, like, you know, almost heaven-like, it's the floor 240, where this the change, it's wide and it looks a bit different, but it's still almost the same layout, almost the same thing. And to do that for so many floors over and over and over again, I remember I just begged this to be done, right? Because I didn't want to, you know, crap on the game if I haven't finished it, especially that because it is such a huge, oh, there's a commercial that we don't want to, it's a huge franchise, right, that a lot of my friends love, especially they went with Persona 5, which I still, again, I finished in Persona 5 the a PE teacher, right, that boss, and that's where I've stopped. I might come back one day, but I was like, yeah, you know what, it's, as an anime I can watch it, but as a game, definitely not for me. So that was March. April, Dark Souls Remastered and Clair Obscure. So this is something that it will be controversial, right? So Dark Souls Remastered, brilliant, loved it. It was 1 week of my life, and oh my god, it was great. Tough, especially for whatever bizarre reason, Godwin at the last boss, I couldn't figure out the parrying. Like, I went through whole game, no problems, no issues, right? And then he just screwed me over. Of course, there were, you know, some moments where that I've hated, but overall, I mean, it's a Souls game, so it was fantastic in general. But then it was Clair Obscure. I know I give it 8 out of 10, and there are like 2 reasons for it, right? Because you will hear me saying some negatives about it. So one thing, the fact that it is innovative and it brought back certain style of games that were amazing in the past. Like, it brought back this JRPG style, it modernized it, The QTE system reminded me a bit the Yakuza stuff. I liked it. The story, my god, was great. But I think at the end of the day it was a bit too long, right? And sometimes it was mundane. It wasn't as good as I would want it to be for this to be my game of the year. And do I think this game deserves a game of the year in so many categories? Because now I can talk about it, right? Because, you know, the awards were... I don't think so. Again, AI stuff, I couldn't care less in terms of that, in terms of that game, because we know it was a bit of placeholder, right? Whatever. As a person who plays, I am more focused on story and gameplay, right? Uh, Sometimes the design and the graphics are not on the very first place. So, and again, they are subjective, right? Because some person might enjoy pixelated stuff, some person might enjoy something that is closer to real life. So yeah, definitely, you know, not something that I'm gonna go for. Especially I went for Dark Souls remastered, but I felt that this game could have been a bit more if it would be more condensed. If there would be a bit, if it would be a bit smaller. Do you know what I mean? Because it was too big, and I feel like, and I think this is gonna be a different video that I have to like record in a bit, right? So long game fatigue, because this is where it started hitting me around here. This thought that the games nowadays are just too long, and I want to go back to games that are like 10 hours, 16 top, right? But yeah, I still enjoyed and I still had a lot of fun playing it. Then I went in May, Assassin's Creed Shadows and The Division 2. So this one, in the fact that I put it here, is because this is the moment I finished it here. The main story, right? Because I started playing it a couple of years ago. I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with The Division, especially that, you know, I've played in beta versions of the first one and the second one, and there was like nothing to it, right? It was okay, it was good time, but the most important thing here is Assassin's Creed Shadows. So why it is 7 out of 10? I don't give a crap if you're gonna give me Black Samurai or not. I don't care. If the gameplay is good, I don't care. And I think this is the thing that people keep forgetting, right? Accuracy in terms of, you know, the period of time, couldn't care less. The story was good. I would say the story was good, and I've enjoyed the story. I enjoyed tracking the things. I wish there was some aspects of the game better explained, right? Or explained better. But overall, that was... If you would have to compare it to Mirage, that was a step back. But if I compare it to, let's say, Valhalla, that was a step forward, because Valhalla was, for me, too long. Here, I think it was long enough. I felt like I'm playing a bit of Ishin again. If I wanted to be stealthy, I could have been stealthy. If I wanted to be just, you know, face first, I could have. I just wish they had a bit more nods towards other games. And I know, and this is something that kind of was funny, that was a joke in my household for a while, because that was a moment where we were like planning a trip to Rome and stuff, that in the game you have this like line that there was a guy in Florence, but no one knew his name. And then, you know, Ezio Auditore is like there saying, Auditores are alive or whatever, right? They never died. And it's me, Ezio, to the whole Rome, right? And like he goes after the Pope, but no one knew who he was. But overall, I wish that there was some more things towards the other games. Blasphemous 2 and ZZZ. So ZZ I just played a bit. That's why it's on the list, because I've played like this for 2 weeks. Okay, but it's on the same as The Division. It's like it exists for me. But Blasphemous 2, definitely an easier game than Blasphemous 1. Besides this one fucking boss, I forgot his name, but it is like third from the last. Oh, I hated that guy. I've spent on him a couple of days. But besides that, really nice game. If someone enjoyed the first one, I highly recommend. One thing I don't like, and that's why also it's an out of 10, it's too gimmicky in terms of switching the weapons. I would just prefer having one and going with it than having to rotate weapons in the middle of the fight, right? Because there are some gimmick fights that you have to, like, you know, jump, change the weapon to, I believe that was 2 swords, shoot them to ring the bell. This bell is gonna transport you somewhere. Too gimmicky. And that's where my main frustration went through when I was fighting bosses or you know, clearing areas, that I had to go with the gimmick. You couldn't have your own, like, one favorite weapon to go through, so you had to upgrade all of them, which I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a fan of. Absolutely wasn't a fan of. July. So I found on sale Metal Gear Solid Collection, I can tell you that. I remember. So, yeah, I found that. So Metal Gear Solid, come on, you know, 10 out of 10. I went for Platinum Trophy here. Fantastic game. What is left to fucking say? Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I just replayed the game here. I remember I had, like, nothing to play because I was grinding Metal Gear Solid so much. And here is where I remembered I love shorter games. That I was like, you know what, let's just play, and I've played it with my wife. Odyssey, then Still Rising, another game I've bought, I think 2 years prior or a year prior. I was like, yeah, let's finally finish it. Cool game, absolutely great ideas. I just wish some bosses were done a bit better. I remember Fire Emblem Engage. Okay, so that's one Nintendo Switch game that is on the list. I borrowed from the friend David because I really wanted to get into Fire Emblem, and I finished Three Houses when it came out, but as the game, and here it's opposite, right? So here gameplay, everything was fantastic, but the story, I was like, again, it's same old. So here the story kind of, you know, got me. And then we go to the most important game of I wouldn't say even that month, because I've started Death Stranding when it came out on Xbox in 2024. So why I didn't finish it in 2024? So, and this is gonna be a bit emotional, I'm not gonna lie. So I've bought this game, exactly when the day it came out on Xbox, and I played it, and my cat at the time loved it. Like, he was watching it with me like a maniac, right? For this one day. And then the next day when I came home and I wanted to play it with him, he was limping. And I took him to vet with my wife, and it turned out that he has a disease, that his heart is just growing, and it's to the inside, and he was limping because there was like no more blood in his one leg. And for a couple of days we tried to save him, right? They've done 2 operations on him, and yeah, he wasn't able to survive, unfortunately, and he died. So that was the game that because of the vibe of it, I've played for a year, like 2 hours at a time, whenever I felt I want to feel his presence again. So that's why it took me so long. And I remember when I just finished it, I was like so happy, and I hope that he enjoys the ending of that as well, because like he went through, you know, the some Yakuza games with me, and all of them. So it was that. So just for that. Then again, Delta came out, and Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty from the Masters Collection I finished. Beautiful ones, right? Wu Chang. If you haven't played Wu Chang, you should. That's it. You must go do it right now. I think this is, besides Lies of P, one of the best Souls-like games out there currently. And I've played it day one when it came out. I don't know how it is now, but my god, it was good. It was fantastic, loved it. But there were some things that I wish they've done a bit differently, like for example the couple of bosses that were just absurd. But, you know, you go. And then you kind of see where this is going. So, I've started Veilguard again when it came out, and that's when I finished it. Uncharted, I went back to the classic because I was like, you know what, yeah, let's go for it. And yeah, a friend David told me, try Dragon's Dogma 2. And I've liked it. But, and this is gonna be, you know, my thing, I wish it was a bit, not longer, but done differently, right? So, storytelling was not great. The idea that for the whole game I felt like I'm playing the very first Dragon's Dogma, which, you know, if you finish it, you know kind of the drill. And I hoped that this is gonna change, but when you go, especially with true ending, and you're going for it, with all the, you know, the saving, the other thing, you go like, why the fuck we're doing that? That is just so annoying. But I've loved the gameplay. The gameplay itself was a masterpiece. And then I was finishing the year, so Space Marine 2. Fuck me, that's good. Then The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, right? So it's like, you can, you know, call it weekends, right? So that was weekend number 1, weekend number 2. This I finished because I've started playing it in summer. And then this one I finished, I can tell you, because like 30th of December, very last day. That's why this has a different font, or I believe 1st of January, right? Something like that. But what a game. And others that I've started but I haven't finished yet, which were Octopath Traveler, Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, Sekiro, and Avowed. This I'm trying to finish for like last 10 years and I can't. I hate this game with everything. Battlefield Red Sec, great game. So you see, like, you know, those were the games that I did played along the way. College Football 25, loved it. FC 25, good game. Of course, this Universe Online, but Rematch, meh, could have been better. Right, Battlefield 2042, it's a Battlefield game. So, yeah, this is the kind of, like, you know, my recap. I can tell you currently, again, I'm playing the Yakuza game. The Like a Dragon Pirate, which I love, and I'm going towards Platinum Trophy. So we'll see where this is gonna go. But what were your games in 2025? Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye.